All right, let's talk about one of the most brutal stories in all of Greek mythology. We're getting into the myth of Erysichthon, a king whose hunger was so huge, so all-consuming, that it literally devoured his entire world. And then, well, it devoured him.
Wow. I mean, with a line like that, you just know this isn't going to end well, right? This is our guy, King Erysichthon. And that one sentence, that single piece of arrogance, that's the match that lights the fuse on his entire life. His fate is sealed right here before we even really get going.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in ancient Thessaly. Think golden fields, a prosperous kingdom, and it's all ruled by this guy, Erysichthon. He has all the power, all the wealth you can imagine, but he's defined by just one thing, this insatiable desire. It wasn't just about wanting more power or more gold. No, he wanted to consume everything.
And when I say consume, I mean it. His parties were legendary. I'm talking about tables literally groaning under the weight of all the food, served from sunrise to sunrise. But here's the crazy part. For him, it was just empty. It was this endless cycle. The more he ate, the more hollow he felt. It was never enough. Nothing could fill that void he had inside.
And that's the key thing to get here. This isn't just a story about a guy who likes to eat a lot. No, this is about gluttony as a concept. It's about a desire that's just completely off the leash. It's a need that's become so powerful it's destructive. It turns something that should be a pleasure into a weapon he points right at himself.
You know how every tragedy has that one moment, that one bad decision where everything goes wrong? Well, for Erysichthon, it all came down to a tree. He wanted to build an even bigger party hall, a monument to his own excess, and he decided, I'm going to chop down that huge old oak over there. Big mistake, because this was not just any tree.
See, this oak was basically a living temple. It was sacred to Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, the one who literally makes life possible. So chopping it down, that's like spitting in the face of nature itself. He's insulting the very goddess who provides the food he's so busy stuffing his face with. Talk about hubris. This is it, right here.
And this moment is just so telling. His own servants were shaking in their boots, begging him not to do it. And what does he do? He laughs at them. He grabs the axe himself and just swings it. The instant it hits the bark, the story says blood, not sap, blood, starts pouring out. And then you hear this horrible scream from the nymph who lived inside the tree as she dies. He didn't just cut down a tree. He committed a murder against the divine.
So way up on Mount Olympus, Demeter feels this. She feels her sacred tree being violated. She feels her nymph die. And her revenge, it's not a quick lightning bolt. No, she comes up with something much more fitting and way more cruel. She decides to give Erysichthon exactly what he's always wanted. Her curse was simple and absolutely terrifying. She cursed him with a real physical hunger that could never, ever be satisfied. Not that psychological void from before. Oh no. This was a gnawing, agonizing famine that would live inside him forever. And the effect was immediate. That very same night, he eats an entire banquet by himself, and he's still hungry. So he eats another, and another. He ends up eating enough food for 10 banquets, and the hunger just gets worse. It's described like a wild animal roaring inside his stomach. So before this thing destroys him physically, it destroys him financially. He starts selling everything, his land, his gold, the entire royal treasury, all just to buy more food. But you can't fill a bottomless pit, right? So when all the money and all the stuff is gone, that monstrous hunger inside him looks around and focuses on the last thing of value he possesses.
And this is where it gets truly horrifying. He sells his own daughter, Mestra, into slavery for food money. Now, luckily for her, she was a favorite of the god Poseidon, who gave her this amazing power to change her shape. So she'd transform into an animal, escape, and come back home, only for her father to sell her again. Can you imagine? This just kept happening over and over, with each sale buying him just one more meal.
Just look at this downward spiral. It was total. First, it was the food in his palace. Then it was all his riches. Then his own daughter, sold repeatedly. Finally, he started eating the animals in the palace, the horses, the dogs, even the rats. His hunger was literally deconstructing his entire world, piece by piece.
And then, of course, the day comes when there's
nothing left. Just nothing. The palace is a ghost town, the fields are empty. His entire kingdom is just a hollowed-out shell, picked clean by this curse.
Picture him just sitting there on the cold stone floor of his empty great hall, a king with no kingdom, a man with nothing. But the hunger, oh, the hunger was still there. In fact, it was raging stronger than ever.
And with nothing else in the world left to eat, that hunger demanded one last final sacrifice.
He started to eat himself, his own flesh. He literally began to devour his own arms, his legs, his body, feeding himself to himself. It's the ultimate gruesome end to the story. The man who wanted to consume everything was, in the end, completely consumed by that need. Until he was just gone. So, wow. What are we supposed to take away from a story that dark? I mean, yeah, on the surface, it's a simple don't be greedy story. But it's so much deeper than that, isn't it? It's this incredibly sharp analysis of how addiction works, of how unsustainable consumerism works. And man, that warning feels more real today than ever before.
This quote really nails the core message. Gluttony does not feed, it devours. The constant need for more, whether it's more food, more money, more social media likes, whatever, it doesn't actually satisfy you. It promises to, but all it does is make that empty feeling inside even bigger. It's the very engine of our modern world, right? Always needing us to be hungry for the next thing, the next upgrade, and it just hollows us out.
And this lays it out perfectly. You've got two paths. On one side, you have satiety, that feeling of being satisfied. It's about balance, moderation, and it leads to a real life. On the other side, gluttony. It's all about excess, no control, and it leads straight to emptiness. And isn't that the great paradox of our time? We have more stuff, more abundance than ever, but we also have these insane levels of anxiety and burnout. Erysichthon had absolutely everything, and in the end, it meant nothing. Because the hunger became his whole world.
So really, this myth isn't just an ancient story. It's a mirror. It forces you to look at your own life and ask, what's my sacred oak? What important thing? My health, my relationships, my time, our planet? Am I chopping down just to build a bigger, emptier party for myself? The question this myth leaves us with isn't just, what are you hungry for? It's what are you letting that hunger destroy?